Welcome to Typevolution's 4-part villain mini-series where I show you how the 16 Jungian personality types can fulfill their purposes in the most twisted and dark ways possible. If you have been following me for a while, you will know of my concept of purpose roles, whereby each Jungian personality type has a certain archetypal social role to fulfill. What makes the best villains so terrifying is how they fulfill their purpose in a dark way, and sometimes even how they fulfill it in a darkly attractive way. If you are new to the concept of purpose roles, I have provided links for it in the description. In the spirit of Halloween, I'm going to share with you fictional examples from mainly horror and dark media. This video will deal with a group of Jungian personalities that I call the agency. These are the types characterized by the cognitive functions TE, NI, SE, and FI in any order. Because of these same valued functions, all these types are generally most compatible with each other. These include the types ENTJ, INTJ, ESFP and ISFP and mbti, as well as LIE, ILI, SEE, and ESI in socionics respectively. I call these archetypes the entrepreneur, the futurist, the performer, and the aesthete. More on them later. I chose the term agency for this grouping because the people here commonly display traits typical of agencies. A focus on business activities, or at the very least self-agency, a sense of purpose and drive, and to some extent utilizing human interactions with the aim of attaining status, esteem, or some other higher purpose. By the way, if you're curious to know which grouping you could fall into, take my quiz, or even better, get typed by me. You can find the links down below. The aesthete and performer can be described as socialites, navigating and judging social dynamics as well as everyone's and everything's physical optics. Especially the performer is commonly engaged in this in fighting for the top of their social hierarchies. The aesthete is comparatively less active in the social sphere due to being an introvert, though overall they are both deeply involved with humanity, within and without, internally and externally, personally and impersonally. However, that involvement can become quite twisted, as the dark versions of these types may uphold appearances whilst being secretly quite egotistical and fighting for the upper hand. Their moral version of right and wrong can become entirely warped and self-serving. The futurist and entrepreneur are often portrayed as so-called masterminds, with a far-reaching vision for the future, which is typically embedded in a technological or business-like context. Even though they often have a nerd-like disposition, it tends to come across as more practical, due to their focus on cause and effect, as well as results. The introverted futurist tends to be both more idealistic but also more pessimistic, whereas the extroverted entrepreneur is more brash and domineering in their conduct. The dark varieties become entirely dispassionate, seeing all humans as mere pawns on a cosmic chess field that should be orchestrated towards a certain logical end. Now I will give you examples of each personality type and how they fit into their purpose role. The aesthete will be in their natural element when they shape either the human world, their own lifestyle, their own bodies or other objects, according to their own personal taste or aesthetics/ethics, thereby creating a sensorially appealing aesthetic and/or actively improving interpersonal and social relations in the real world. Jinu used to be a human who was suffering from hunger and poverty. The devil offered him a deal to give him a beautiful singing voice so that Jinu could live in the palace. However, the cost was that Jinu had to leave his struggling mother and sister behind forever. They likely died as a result of their poverty. His guilt turned him into a demon, a dark feeling that he carries with him hundreds of years later. His only wish is to be rid of his memories. As part of another deal with the devil, he comes up with the aesthetically appealing K-pop group Soulja Boys. His plan is to create catchy K-pop music in order to steal the souls of their fans. His motivations are based on his personal morals and sympathies, which eventually redeem him in the end.
Whoa, mind the face! I needed to steal your fans. But first, I want to talk about those pants. Teddy bears and choo-choo trains?
Selina Kyle was a lonely woman and meek assistant for a major corporation. However, one day she found out the company was engaging in devious activities. As a result, her boss killed her. She was saved by cats, after which she adopted some of their behaviors and their 9 lives, turning into Catwoman. She uses her newfound sense of style and athletic movements. She is driven primarily by the desire for revenge, even giving up one of her lives to kill her boss in the end. To quote her, "Life's a bitch, so now am I." The performer is in their natural element when they are able to perform tasks that suit their personal values and are aimed at improving interpersonal bonds, include movement and emotionally engaged interactions in a fast-paced environment, and also play out in the social world, in front of people. The trope of the popular mean girl matches well with the performer, especially if the girl is an extrovert and the leader of her group, such as Regina George in Mean Girls. A bittersweet variation of this trope is Misa Amane in Death Note. She's a popular, extroverted it girl with a dedicated fan base. Misa tends to be more charming and sweet to most people than Regina. Her charm even leads to Shinigamis, death gods, sacrificing themselves for her. But if you mess with Misa's loved ones, she won't hesitate to kill you with her Death Note. She also tends to act without thinking, such as when she got Shinigami eyes and gave half of her lifetime for that, or when she went to the house of her crush, the other person who has a Death Note, thereby endangering them both. Patrick Bateman is a rich yuppie who is consumed by greed, materialism, appearances, and social approval. Most of the time he performs his part. He tries to look his best and competes with his friends about who has the best image. This entails social signifiers such as business cards, haircuts, clothes, music taste, restaurants, hot women, etc. He's also concerned with performing in the bedroom, even setting up his own cameras. However, his sanity slips and he ends up killing people he despises or looks down upon. For instance, he kills prostitutes, a homeless man, and one colleague he was too jealous of. As the darkest version possible, Patrick has lost himself in his performance. And it is even a question if all his killings were just a performance as well. The futurists will be in their natural element when they engage in projects and pastimes that require futuristic thinking to deepen their insights, evade losses or ensure long-term success, and anticipate a personally significant future aim. Kronika is the keeper of time and architect of history in the Mortal Kombat universe. She has been displeased by how the main timeline has unfolded. Kronika's primary goal is to create a perfect timeline, or so-called new era. She restarts the universe many times to accomplish this, disregarding the fact that countless lives get lost in the process. Her main method is timecraft, a cosmic magic that she founded to control the sands of time within her hourglass. However, this magic requires the power of many souls. Her vision of a perfect future stands above everything and everyone else. The architect in the Matrix Reloaded movie could also be described as an architect of the past and future, very similarly to Kronika. He is a program and the creator of the Matrix, a reality simulation that is supposed to keep humans pacified so that the machines can extract their energy for themselves. The architect can see all kinds of outcomes on the screens surrounding him, which symbolize the futurist's foresight. His first version of the Matrix was a perfect utopia, though that fact led to humans rejecting it. The architect needed the help of another character to understand human nature better. He sees Neo as a mathematical anomaly he has to contend with.
You are the eventuality of an anomaly which, despite my sincerest efforts, I have been unable to eliminate from what is otherwise a harmony of mathematical precision.
As a side note, in the real world, most architects are not the futurist personality type. The futurist examples here are architects of time and/or architects of the logical mind. As the dishonorable mentions here, I also included 2 examples with asterisks because they overlap with the entrepreneur personality. Not every character or every person even, at least on the surface, will fully fit into one main type. Especially in fiction, it is quite common that there will be overlaps or basically unpure examples. In this video, I mainly focus on examples that are very quote-unquote pure in the sense that they really much fit into the personality archetype, but it's not always the case in fiction. And also in real life, you will sometimes come across people who technically are a certain type, but their purpose or their occupation or their free time might overlap with that of another type. The entrepreneur is in their natural element when they are entrepreneurial and enterprising in a technical and/or socio-scientific field or several, where they can apply their business acumen, innovative angle, and foresight in favor of changing the industry for the better. Lex Luthor is a genius business magnate, and depending on the depiction, either the founder and CEO of LexCorp or Luthor Corp. He rules over a vast criminal and legitimate business empire metropolis, earning him great power and influence. Luthor is the brainchild or supporter of various military and technological innovations, such as the Pocket Universe. However, Superman is indirectly challenging his role as the world's ultimate protector and most powerful man, which irks Luthor greatly. He goes to great lengths in order to undermine Superman, including starting wars, treating his subordinates like slaves, imprisonment, and murder.
Brain beats brawn!
Shiv Roy is the only daughter of an extremely wealthy media magnate. At first, she works as a political consultant. But once her father offers her to work for his company, she accepts and becomes obsessed with wanting to be the successor of her father's empire. Despite her lack of experience in the field, she exhibits great arrogance. Shiv believes she knows what's best for the company. Her domineering behavior also shows up in her marriage, where she mistreats her husband and does whatever she wants.
Shut the fuck up and stop laughing. It's not a comedy night. Ooh.
At last, I want to reiterate that the darkness of the soul intensifies after the instincts have been hurt or traumatized. For more on the instincts, watch my previous dark series about the instincts. People do not always embody their purpose role when they are dark and unhealthy. Some people merely resort to their weaker cognitive functions and then become ultimately ineffective and lost in life. But the greatest villains and heroes in fiction and in real life utilize their purpose role because that is where their personality's inner power lies. Commonly, even the unhealthy variation of the purpose roles can be attractive in a toxic way. You need to overcome your own darkness so that the attractive pull of darkness is less strong on you. If you want to find out what your purpose role is or how to improve your attraction patterns, then go to my website typevolution.com/services. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, because it really helps out the channel and you will see more of this kind of content. Happy Halloween and see you in the next video. Bye!